Well, hey, it's time to make our tubular cross members. So we've got the roll cage bender bolted in, ready to go. What I've had to do is plan out where the kind of internal kind of bracing and cross members and stuff are going to go. Now, I know the back by using the rear 4-link off the truck that I made. So these are 5/8 4-link setup. I don't really want to cut these down and remake them, so I'm going with these dimensions. Now I know roughly the axle is at this point, so I'm going to put them slightly forward of the axle because the way I need to make the brackets will be apparent a bit later on. But for clearance issues, rather than being top and bottom of the axle, I need to actually move the bracket in front of the axle. So those are in front of the axle, which means that my rear tube for the tubular cross member needs to end somewhere here, so I can make a pickup for this point here. But we're going to forget at this moment in time that my body mount may clash with that. So I haven't told you that, shush, that is an issue I'm going to deal with further down the line. The second issue is the pedal box that I brought out thinking this is perfect, it's going to work really well, does not. And the reason it doesn't is because of a hydraulic clutch. Now, obviously with one of these pedal boxes where you just normally have a brake with a master cylinder on with like an auto, you don't have the clutch pedal, it will sit a lot further in, which is ideal on a Model A because you don't have kind of foot space in the cab itself. However, the M57 I've got is a manual and it needs a hydraulic clutch. So I bought this one thinking it was fine. However, after measuring the kind of the taper of the gearbox, as you can see by this, well hopefully you can see by this, there's a set square. It comes back and it goes straight through the side of this servo. So problem is, without massively adapting and kind of bodging the bracket, this isn't going to work. So we're going to have to annoyingly run an internal kind of Willwood style pedal box. I didn't want to do it because it doesn't look kind of retro, and I don't know where that's going to clash with the steering column, but it's one of them I'm just going to have to do it down the line. So I think this is going to get sacked off and sold. It's obviously brand new, but it does give me a reference point of where I can kind of start tubing as well. So I've marked front reference point, marked rear reference point. It's not a very big area, as you can see. It's literally that area there. We're going to do both sides, and then we're going to do something to link the two together. And then hopefully that will probably pick up on the gearbox mount as well. Off camera, I've cut two of these. Now there's two smaller. The top ones are going to be smaller because it's going to hopefully allow me to space it one slightly back to be able to get a 3-inch exhaust through. That's the plan. Whether it works, I don't know. But we're going to clean these first with some WD-40 to get the grease off. And then we're going to run brake cleaner on the outside and through the centres. Ready to mark up and start bending. Hoops at the centre are cut out, and then if you excuse me my little tea trolley, we've got some other bits for kind of the central section. I've got two kind of cross members and a load of our kind of spacers. Now these have all been cleaned up off camera, lines put down, and then what I also did last night was jump online, pay £3 for an STL print, which is basically a file for 3D printing for doing some kind of clever angles. Now the reason I've done that is because I usually use paper and it's just a nightmare. After a while the bit of paper goes funny, you've got to reprint it, wrap it round, the whole thing just takes ages. Whereas somewhere in here, there we go, there's literally a 90-degree one, and I can just keep reusing it. Draw around it, reuse it, reuse it, reuse it. Also, which is handy, and I've only really just noticed, is I can use that end for marking straight cuts as well. So we've got all the most common angles, even down to some really extreme ones like this. I mean, that's a pretty extreme angle. But yeah, most of the common ones I may have to obviously use for the odd one, the paper method, obviously, because my angles may not match these ones. But yeah, they're hopefully for the case of £2.34, I think it was, for the foil. They're going to be well worth it, to be honest, and they probably cost me about 20p to make them. So yeah, we're going to crack on. I'm going to mark all these bits up. These will make sense, but basically they're going to be kind of spaces in between. Nicely clean now, and off camera I've just tacked the kind of two bigger ones out of it. Whoa, and made my first part of the cross brace. This is squared up on the table. But yeah, basically the plan is to drop this low in and then work out where I need to make the cuts. Right, so now I've got to struggle like hell to get it back on the table. It's been an absolute nightmare to try and square it up, but it's clamped to the table everywhere. It's confirmed a million times with my angle gauge, set square, and also I've dropped in a centre line. So I'm happy that the centre line matches the middle point where the spring is. It matches the middle point of both markings on the centre section itself, and obviously goes completely back to the rear. Now there was a little bit of twist in the chassis rails. This has been sorted out by putting the clamp that I made that was left in the vehicle as a reference point, and then obviously a sash clamp here. We've got another clamp clamping it down to the further part of the table because we've dropped an extension on temporarily, just so I can make sure the whole frame was as square and solid to the table as possible. And just like that, it's all tacked in. Annoyingly, the GoPro camera decided to stop recording, so I didn't catch it, but here we are, it's all fitted. Now, it's all pretty much done, TIG tacked in. I'm going to go around with MIG in a minute, just because I'm really low on TIG gas and I kind of need it for just tacking stuff. So I'm going to reserve that. I'm just going to slug some MIG welds around it, and then once that's done, I'll give you a closer look. Yeah, that fire wasn't supposed to happen, was it? We've got the central section welded in. We've left the rear temporary brace in at this point, but the front one has come out. The reason being is because in either the next video or the video after, we're going to be looking at getting the engine in, and this is going to be right in the way of the gearbox. I will need to remove this one, but I'm likely to bridge it over the top, chop it out, just so I can sneak something in and keep the chassis where it needs to be. until obviously there's more permanent braces going in underneath. I just need to make sure there's clearance at the moment. So I'm going to say thanks for watching. Hopefully in the next video you may see me in a new set of garage clothes. Basically I'll wear garage clothes every time I'm here. They get so dirty and then they just get chucked. I'm going to get a new set. So whether or not I get new clothes, you'll see in the next video. Peace out.